Imagine a world of kings, warriors, and vast cities. A world connected by trade, wealth, and bronze. Ships sailed across the Mediterranean. Palaces gleamed with gold. Letters traveled between empires. And then, in the blink of history, it all collapsed. The Bronze Age collapse, around 1200 BCE, saw the destruction of some of the greatest civilizations of the ancient world. The Mycenaeans vanished. The Hittites disappeared. Even Egypt barely survived. What caused this widespread devastation? Natural disasters? Invasions? Internal revolts? Or a perfect storm of all these factors? This is the story of the Bronze Age collapse, the greatest crisis the ancient world had ever faced. The Bronze Age, lasting from roughly 3300 BCE to 1200 BCE, was a period of remarkable advancement. Bronze, an alloy of copper and tin, was the backbone of society. Bronze built tools, weapons, armor, and ceremonial artifacts. Kings wielded bronze swords. Farmers plowed fields with bronze tools. Traders measured wealth in bronze ingots. But bronze had a problem: it required trade. Copper and tin were rare. Civilizations depended on each other to survive. Egypt traded grain and gold for tin. The Hittites controlled key copper mines. Mycenaean Greece dominated trade at sea. Mesopotamia produced luxury goods and written records. The Bronze Age world was a delicate web. One broken link could bring the entire network down. Life in the Bronze Age was complex. Palaces were centers of power and administration. Towns and villages thrived around trade routes and fertile lands. In Mycenae, massive citadels overlooked the countryside. Farmers produced grain, olives, and wine. Artisans forged weapons and jewelry. Scribes recorded taxes, trade, and treaties. In Anatolia, the Hittite capital Hattusa rose with walls taller than any before it. Egyptian pharaohs ruled from Memphis and Thebes, constructing temples that still inspire awe today. Trade brought distant civilizations together. Ships carried pottery, ivory, and tin across the Mediterranean. Culture, art, and ideas flowed freely. Yet, the system was fragile. The collapse didn't happen overnight. Signs appeared decades before disaster. Climate change caused droughts and food shortages. Tree-ring evidence shows years of reduced rainfall. Famine struck towns across the Mediterranean. Earthquakes destroyed cities and weakened fortifications. Letters from Ugarit revealed desperate pleas for grain. Trade slowed. Armies shrank. Kings worried. The stage was set for catastrophe. Then came the Sea Peoples. Recorded in Egyptian inscriptions, they were a mysterious confederation of seafaring raiders. Historians debate their origin: were they displaced populations, pirates, or fleeing civilizations? They attacked cities along the Levantine coast. Ugarit was burned. The Hittite heartland was devastated. Entire populations vanished. Egypt faced them in battle. Pharaohs described fleets of ships and hordes of warriors. The Sea Peoples didn't just raid, they reshaped the political landscape. Pharaoh Ramesses III faced the invaders at sea and on land. The Battle of the Delta was fierce. Ships clashed. Arrows filled the sky. Thousands died. Egypt survived. But it was weakened. Treasuries emptied. Internal revolts followed. The empire would never regain its full strength. Egyptian records show famine, unrest, and lost territories. Even the Nile, lifeblood of Egypt, could not prevent the collapse entirely. Archaeology tells a grim story. Troy, Mycenae, Ugarit, and Hattusa were destroyed. Palaces burned. Walls crumbled. Mass graves show sudden death. Writing disappeared. The collapse left the Mediterranean in a dark age. Technology and literacy regressed. Populations dropped sharply. Cities that had stood for centuries vanished in decades. Trade networks shattered. Bronze became scarce. Without weapons, armies could not defend cities. Without trade, economies collapsed. Letters from the time describe desperate kings begging for resources. Some regions reverted to subsistence farming. Luxury goods disappeared. The Bronze Age economy, once global, was destroyed. Along with economic collapse came cultural regression. Linear B script, used in Mycenae, disappeared. Knowledge of architecture, art, and literature declined. Fewer monumental buildings were constructed. Historians call this period the Greek Dark Age. The brilliance of the Bronze Age faded, but seeds for the Iron Age were planted. Iron replaced bronze. Smaller kingdoms emerged. Trade routes shifted. Phoenician sailors expanded their influence. Israelites formed new communities. Greece slowly recovered, giving rise to a new era of city-states. From destruction came innovation. Civilizations adapted to survive. The Bronze Age collapse teaches us enduring lessons. Complex systems are fragile. Global interdependence can be a weakness. Climate change, invasions, and internal strife can combine to destroy civilizations. Even the most advanced societies are not invincible. 3,000 years ago, civilization collapsed. Trade networks shattered. Empires fell. History went dark. Yet from the ashes, new civilizations arose. The story of the Bronze Age collapse is a warning, and a reminder. History teaches us that even the mightiest empires can fall. And sometimes, survival depends on adaptation, resilience, and foresight. The question remains, are we prepared if history repeats itself?